So how should you breathe normally? And by normally we mean day-to-day breathing habits, where you're just like working, or you're playing a game, or you're just hanging out with friends. What should be your normal breathing practice? And I want you to understand there's a major difference between a technique, the kind of breathing techniques you do from things like pranayama, holotropic, rebirthing, and you shouldn't confuse that with normal breathing. Normal breathing is very different, usually, from techniques. Okay, so normal breathing is actually quite a mystery to a lot of people, and a lot of people have different conceptions of it, different understandings of it, and there's a lot of confusion as well around this as well. And the funny thing is, we're never given a manual when we're born, and perhaps we should, on how to use the body. And it's only really in more recent times where there's been a more clear understanding in conventional medicine and science about breathing and the importance of it and how to have healthy breathing habits. So I'm going to run you through what we know and what we teach at SOMA Breath to be normal breathing and good breathing habits to practice every single day. And I'll also make the distinction between that and techniques. Okay, so normal breathing should be done using your nose. That's why we have a nose. A nose is not just for smelling, it's also for breathing. And when you inhale through your nose, your nose has actually these fine little hairs that filters the air, and also it warms it slightly to prepare for oxygenation in your lungs. Okay? So your nose is like a filter for all of the pollution, dust particles, and other things that are in the air. And that's really important if we don't want to get sick. Okay? Now, another reason for nose breathing, and this relates to airflow and the rate of oxygen and carbon dioxide coming in our body, is that because your nasal cavities are much more narrow than your mouth, for example, and your throat, you will breathe in a much smaller quantity of air at a time. And this is very important because this is necessary to avoid oxidative stress. There's a scientist called Helmut Sees who coined the term oxidative stress, and he showed how we literally rust inside our body, especially in our blood vessels, where we get these plaques and inflammation in our arteries due to oxygenated blood. And actually, oxygen can be corrosive. It can cause oxidative stress. And actually, one of the byproducts of respiration is free radicals and reactive oxygen species, which can actually damage cells. So the idea is that by keeping a nice balance of oxygen and carbon dioxide, we don't overbreathe. And overbreathing is also caused by too much carbon dioxide being breathed out of your system. And when you hyperventilate, and this is really enhanced by breathing through your mouth, and one of the problems of mouth breathing, what happens is you actually breathe out all carbon dioxide, and you need carbon dioxide to get the oxygen off the red blood cells and into the cells where it needs to go. This is called the Bohr effect. So over-breathing actually means you have less carbon dioxide and you get too much oxygen stuck to your red blood cells, which leads to oxidative stress and inflammation. So nasal breathing actually slows the airflow right down, slows your rate of air down, and there's also lots of studies now that back up the benefits of slow breathing and slower breathing. Okay, and this is what we encourage in SOMA Breath. And actually, pranayama, the ancient science of breath work, is all about bringing your overall breathing rate down by improving your oxygen efficiency. Now, another thing with nasal breathing is also stimulates nitric oxide. Nitric oxide keeps your blood vessels dilated, and you get better blood flow, better oxygenation to the tissues and cells in your organs. This is really important for oxygen efficiency and also generally having a healthier cardiovascular and respiratory system. So nitric oxide It's very important. It also keeps your muscles more relaxed and stops that contraction feeling, that tightening feeling that leads to tension and then chronic pain and diminished blood flow to your organs. So being relaxed and being more calm and having better blood flow is the key, and nasal breathing definitely helps with that. Okay. So actually, there have been studies that have shown that people who mouth breathe habitually, they tend to have higher blood pressure, they suffer more from stress-related issues, and they even suffer more from things like asthma and sleep apnea. So sleep apnea occurs at night where you hold your breath for very long periods of time, and this can actually become a chronic thing in your sleep, and it can lead to all kinds of problems and health issues and also high blood pressure. And this can be corrected by changing your breathing habit from being a mouth breather to a nose breather. That's right. There's even studies shown how one of the reasons why children get bad teeth and need braces is due to mouth breathing, because when you have your mouth open and you're breathing through your mouth, it changes the shape of your mouth over time. So that's another reason for keeping your mouth closed and focusing on nasal breathing. Okay, so Buteyko did a lot of great study on this, and you can actually look into Buteyko method for more information on this stuff. However, in pranayama, nasal breathing is the most preferred method for normal breathing, day-to-day breathing, and it can also be used in techniques to enhance the effect of certain techniques, especially like alternate nostril breathing, where you're shutting off one nostril at a time. But you're not obviously going to do that all day long. You just want to be breathing normally through your nose, and that's why actually techniques are not always the right way to breathe. Okay, so think about holotropic, or rebirthing, which actually encourages mouth breathing. This can actually, if you confuse that with normal breathing, and quite a lot of practitioners do, this encouraging of mouth breathing, and it will become a habit, and you'll end up habitually mouth breathing, and this can lead to all the effects, negative effects that I talked about. So in SOMA breath, we like to keep the focus on nasal breathing in our techniques to reinforce that. But the more high intensity, high energy techniques, we encourage mouth breathing. But that's why we say that don't confuse techniques with normal day-to-day breathing. The other core thing with normal breathing is to become a habitual diaphragmatic belly breather. Okay, so breathing into your diaphragm and understanding that when you breathe in and you breathe into your belly, actually your lungs are actually in your back. So when you breathe in, you're really breathing into your back, and then your belly rises and then into your chest. And you may not take a full deep inhalation in normal breathing. In normal breathing, actually, a normal breather, a healthy yogi, will be so efficient using oxygen that they won't even need to take deep breaths. They just have very slow breaths into the belly. So it's like this, effortlessly and silent. There's no sound coming from the nose. And they will be able to stay like that in that state for long periods of time without gasping for air. This is a sign of somebody who's become very efficient using oxygen. And in SOMA breath, we train you to become efficient in using oxygen so that you are effortless with your breathing. You're not panting or gasping for air. You never feel deprived of oxygen. And your breath becomes very silent and quiet. Okay? So this is the other incredible benefit of nasal breathing into diaphragm, is that's also where your parasympathetic receptors are. This keeps your nervous system more balanced and calm. And you'll use full yogic breaths during techniques where you're breathing in fully in and out. And that's what you'd normally do in a technique. This is full diaphragmatic breathing. and can be used for creating things like heart coherence, and you're using it as bastrika to prepare for like going deep in your breath retentions. But normal breathing is just going to be silent through the nose and shallow actually into the diaphragm. But you're not going to be doing it into your chest. You're not going, that's wrong, because what that does when you're just breathing into your chest is it stimulates the sympathetic nervous system receptors, produces adrenaline, and actually raises your blood pressure and is a contractor. But when you breathe through your nose into the diaphragm, it actually relaxes the nervous system. It calms you down, keeps you more at normal, healthy mindset and state where you're stress-free. Okay, so even just getting into, when you're feeling a little bit stressed, just bring your awareness to breathing through your nose and slowing your breathing down can be enough to actually calm down any stress and anxiety that you might be feeling. Okay, so that's actually normal way to breathe. There's not much more really to say about that, other than obviously your rate of breath is going to change if you're doing physical exercise, and when you're doing more high intensity exercise you may start using your mouth to get more air in. But even with exercise, if you can try and stick to breathing through your nose, okay, and then you can also use your mouth, breathe out through your mouth, or it's really the inhalation through the nose that's the most important. Okay, as long as you can stick to that, actually that can even improve your athletic performance because you're producing more nitric oxide breathing in through your nose. Okay, but normal day-to-day breathing should be calm, slight, silent, and effortless. And that's how you ensure you're breathing correctly. So if you enjoyed this video and you want to get more like this, then remember to subscribe to our channel, and also look at the link below this video in the description where you can sign up for our free masterclass, and I go much deeper into all these techniques and also show you how you can become an instructor of these techniques, build yourself a career where you can help transform people's lives and actually be like an amazing leader and really great ally to your clients in this time of great stress, where you can actually help people become more healthy and happy just by teaching them how to breathe correctly. That's right. Peace.